Savage Worlds is built for action and adventure, but if you're new, there are some common mistakes that might be holding you back from the full experience. Today, we're going over the 6 mistakes new Savage Worlds players make and how to avoid them. Welcome back to the Savage Goose. Today, we're diving into 6 mistakes that new players often make when starting out in Savage Worlds. Whether you're coming from another system or are brand new to RPGs, these tips will help you get the most out of every session of Savage Worlds. Mistake number 1 is treating wounds like they're hit points. In other games, hit points often work as a buffer where taking damage isn't a big deal as long as you don't hit 0. But in Savage Worlds, wounds are serious. If you're wounded, it directly affects your rolls and makes each action more challenging. Every wound you take is a cumulative -1 to all of your rolls. This may not sound too bad at first, but also keep in mind that these negatives also apply to all of your future rolls to soak damage. It is much easier to soak your first wound with no modifiers than it is to soak your 4th with -3. Keep in mind that once a character reaches 4 wounds, they're incapacitated. So don't treat wounds like just another health pool. Avoiding wounds should be a priority. Use bennies to soak damage whenever possible, and if you're at risk of getting wounded, take cover or think creatively rather than just charging in. This game rewards smart, strategic play. Use your environment, skills, and tactics to avoid damage altogether. And that leads us a little bit into our next mistake. Mistake number 2 is uncreative combat. New players sometimes get stuck in the simple attack, roll, repeat cycle in combat. But Savage Worlds is designed to encourage creative action. There are so many options beyond basic attacks, wild attacks, desperate attacks, grappling, multiple actions, and using support actions to help your teammates. You can also use tests to throw enemies off balance, applying status conditions, and even shaking them without directly hurting them with your weapons. With support and tests, even non-combat focused characters have options during Savage Worlds combat. Mixing up your tactics not only keeps combat interesting, but can also give you a real advantage. Try a wild attack for extra damage, use tests to distract opponents, and explore other creative actions. With so many options, don't settle for just a straight attack every time. Mistake number 3 is stat dumping spirit and vigor. Still flowing from mistake number 1, it's tempting to put points mainly into agility or smarts to be a great fighter or skilled caster. But neglecting spirit and vigor can lead to major issues. Spirit is essential for unshaking after getting hit, as well as resisting fear effects, while vigor helps with soaking wounds and surviving in combat. If these stats are too low, you'll have a tough time staying alive in a fight. Even though only a few skills are tied to spirit, and there are no skills tied to vigor, they are not dump stats. In fact, I would say that in Savage Worlds, there isn't an attribute to really dump. A balanced character can handle a variety of situations, and in Savage Worlds, unexpected challenges are normal. Don't overlook spirit and vigor. They are just as essential as any other attribute, especially if you want to be resilient on the battlefield. Now, the reason some players often ignore these attributes is because they are trying to boost other ones that specifically do one thing, which leads us to our next mistake. Mistake number 4 is over-specialization. Some players try to create characters who are amazing at one thing, but weak at almost everything else. While specialization can sound appealing, it's risky in Savage Worlds, where situations often require versatility. A character who's only good at one thing may struggle in encounters that need different skills. A character who is only good at hitting things may not be able to unshake when hit, may not be able to take a hit, or may just fall for an opposing test with no chance to resist. Or if you make a character with only combat in mind, you miss out on all the out-of-combat encounters and abilities. Instead, build a character who is good enough in several areas, so you can contribute in more situations. This way, you stay engaged and effective whether it's combat, social encounters, or even skill challenges. Avoid over-specialization to get the most out of your character in Savage Worlds. If you want to see what that's like in action, you can check out my character creation video. Now let's move on to the next mistake. Mistake number 5 is hoarding your bennies. Bennies are there to be used. A habit we often see with new players is that they often hold on to them too long, waiting for the perfect moment or just saving them for emergencies. Games like D&D have a different mindset to their metacurrency of inspiration. Up until recently, in D&D, you could only have one inspiration, and you are not guaranteed to get it back at the beginning of next session. In Savage Worlds, you get a number of them at the start of every session, are rewarded them by the GM, and they reset at the end of the session. Bennies are meant to be spent regularly to reroll, soak damage, and influence the story. Hoarding them can mean missing chances to turn a bad roll around or create a memorable success. And don't just use bennies whenever something important is on the line. A lot of fun can occur when you use your bennies on trivial things like trying to persuade a hostile cat to let you pet it. I don't remember the exact details, but this was definitely something that happened in one of my games. That being said, I think the character died that session. Anyway, the Game Master will probably award you more for role-playing your hindrances or taking bold actions, so don't be afraid to spend them. Bennies are there to make sure you stay in the action, so don't let them sit unused. Our sixth and final mistake is not customizing powers. Savage Worlds is designed for you to make your powers unique, but a common mistake new players make is missing out on 3 great ways to customize them: trappings, limitations, and power modifiers. Let's start with trappings. Trappings allow you to give a power a unique appearance or effect based on your character's style or background. For instance, 2 characters might both use the bolt power, but one might cast it as a stream of fire while another uses shards of ice. These visual and thematic elements can also have minor mechanical impacts. For example, a fire trapping might be better at fighting a monster made of ice if it has that vulnerability, as most ice monsters do. Trappings make your character's powers more memorable and tied to their identity, bringing your character's personality to life in every action. Next, there are limitations. When you take a power, you can add permanent restrictions, like making it self-only or limiting its range to touch, in exchange for reducing its power point cost. Limitations make your powers cheaper and more efficient, but require you to work within their constraints. If your character concept fits, limitations are a great way to make a power unique while giving you more bang for your power point buck. Finally, power modifiers are flexible adjustments you can add each time you use a power, letting you change its effect based on the situation. For example, if you're casting Bolt, you might add the armor piercing modifier when you're up against a heavily armored foe, or add lingering damage to simulate fire that keeps burning. Modifiers let you adjust and tailor powers on the fly, making them more adaptable and effective for different encounters. So don't settle for the basic power list. Think about how trappings can make your power stand out, maybe even give them their own names. Think about how limitations can make them more efficient, and how modifiers can give you the flexibility to change things up when it matters most. By using these customizations, you'll get the most out of your character's abilities and add a lot of personality to your spellcasting, or whatever your powers are used for. Those are 6 mistakes new Savage Worlds players often make. Avoiding these will help you get the most out of the game and bring your characters to life in every session. Let me know in the comments if you've encountered other common mistakes or tips you'd like to share. And if you're looking for more advice on mastering Savage Worlds, check out this video here for tips on creative combat strategies. Savage Worlds is all about fast-paced action and character-driven storytelling. Lean into that, and you'll have an unforgettable experience.